Well, today marks exactly 1 week until Thanksgiving, and today is also day 4 of our week-long Viewers Thanksgiving Recipe Series. So this morning we have a unique twist on a Thanksgiving classic. We're talking stuffing this morning, but not just any stuffing. This stuffing comes to us from a dedicated Sunrise viewer. There I am knocking on her door, and there she is answering the door. Her name is Kelly. That's her home in the Maywood Park section of Multnomah County, and we paid her a visit to see how she makes her sauteed apple mashed potato stuffing. And now we are in viewer Kelly's kitchen. Look at that, the welcome sign. Welcome, Drew and the KGW crew.
We're so delighted to have you.
Well, thank you for having us. Your recipe sounds fantastic. It is the sauteed apple and mashed potato stuffing, and you showed for me the recipe that you pulled out of a magazine 30 years ago. There's a little history here.
Yep, 1992. I made it for my parents. I think I was maybe a junior in college.
I can actually see right there at the bottom of this page, which looks like it's been through a lot, by the way. It says Gourmet, November 1992.
I know, props to me for hanging on to something like that for so long.
The apple is obviously a big part of the recipe. And you were telling me
it's the secret ingredient, I would say.
It's the secret ingredient. Well,
yes.
You put it in the title. It's not that big of a secret anymore.
That's true.
You said there's a trick to how you peel your apple. Can you show us that?
Yeah, so to make it real easy to peel, you slice off the top of the apple and the bottom of the apple, and then you take the peeler and you can quickly move around the apple to get the peel off. And I suggest you always use green apples because they make the dish a little bit more tart.
The recipe also calls for mashed potatoes. So are there any tricks to the way you mash your potatoes?
Well, I use golden potatoes. They're a little bit creamier than russet potatoes. So we're going to heat up about a 1/4 cup of milk in the microwave. That helps make them really moist, and it also helps melt the butter that we're going to put in it as well.
Kelly, would you like some help with that mashing?
Absolutely, have at it.
How long do I have to do this for?
Go by consistency, right? So as soon as you feel like it's kind of creamy and all broken down.
Seems consistent to me.
Yeah.
Apples finely chopped. Mashed potatoes, well mashed. Walk me through the steps now before we get this into the oven.
Yep. So the other part of the recipe calls for sauteed apples. So we have to saute them. So first we saute the onions, we add the apples, then we're going to crumble up some dried herbs, add those to the apple and onion mixture. Then we add the secret sauce, which is a little bit of apple cider vinegar. It is probably the most important ingredient, and it brings the entire dish together.
We are coming down the home stretch now.
Yes, we are.
A few key steps left in the recipe. Tell me what they are.
You bet. So we're going to take the apple mixture, we're going to combine it with the mashed potatoes, then we're going to add the bread cubes to that, mix that all together, and then you put it in the oven.
So it was in there for 30 minutes covered, and then the last 30 minutes uncovered. Here it is. Look at that. That looks delicious. Give me a big old spoonful. It is viewer Kelly's sauteed apple and mashed potato stuffing. So I would say of the recipes we're featuring this week on the show, this one is the most involved. I mean, it's going to take the most time to tackle. Not that any of the steps are difficult, but it just involves a lot of time and steps. So real quickly, I will show you where you can find this recipe. It is on my Drew Carney KGW TV Facebook page. There it is spelled out. By the way, Chris, I also posted this on my Instagram page. And most importantly, viewer Kelly is coming into the studio next hour so we can sample some of that stuffing. A handful of our viewers have been giving us something special. Treats from their kitchens. We're talking about the Viewer Recipe Series just in time for Thanksgiving next Thursday, and it's day number 4 of this week-long series. So just a few days ago, I was in the kitchen of that viewer right there. She is Kelly. She lives in the Maywood Park section of Multnomah County, which I was not familiar with at all until I came to her house. We'll talk about that in a moment, but let's really focus in on this recipe. She is preparing there in her kitchen a sauteed apple and mashed potato stuffing. And that stuffing she was making in her kitchen that day has now appeared in our studio this morning. I hold it here proudly in honor of Kelly, viewer Kelly from Maywood Park. So Kelly, I thought one of the fun things about this recipe that I learned when I was in your kitchen is that it comes from this sheet of paper. I don't know, Jay, behind the camera this morning, how closely he can get to that. This piece of paper has been in your possession since November of 1992. Tell me about it.
It has, yep. That's when I first started making the stuffing. I made it for my parents when I was in college, and I've been making it ever since, and people just keep asking for the recipe.
Looks like it was in Gourmet magazine.
It was.
Nice
I do
find, by
modify
the
it a
way.
little bit,
You
though.
do?
Yeah.
So why don't we slide over, we'll let Christine and Brenda into the picture here as they wait to try some of the stuff.
I know.
Are those serving plates? Or
They
dish
are,
bowls?
yes.
Is that a serving spoon?
It is.
Could you put that into action and
can.
serve the Christine and Brenda? And I'm going to ask you a question still
All right.
while they wait for their food.
Do it.
When I got to her house earlier this week, Kelly warned me, Drew, this is a process. There are a lot of stages involved here. This isn't going to happen in 30 minutes. But really, once you break it down, you can add to this, but it's really about an apple mixture combined with mashed potatoes and then some bread cubes.
Exactly.
That is essentially it. What part of this recipe do you think is challenging or is the most time consuming?
I think if you break it down in stages, it's not that bad. Sorry. You want some too?
I do. Thank you very much for asking.
You know, I tend to make it a little bit more gourmet, if you will. I have herbs that I grow in my backyard, so I dry those.
Yes.
They make it taste better. You know, those little tricks like that. But
I am watching you and listening to you, but I was waiting. I was like, man, I guess she's not going to put my ball in front of me until she's finishing answering that question.
I know.
No, you're a good woman. Thank you, Kelly. I will tell you guys that when I was watching her put this together and I saw all those herbs, I thought to myself, well, I'm going to skip that part. I mean, I'm just going to get the dried herbs out of the store, right? That is a long part of the process right there.
well, if you put it in the beginning, it just does it on, you know, takes care of itself while you're preparing all the other things.
Should we allow these three to speak now because you've all tried it? What do you think?
The layers of flavor in this are amazing. I mean, they blend really well, but they're distinct. That is good stuff.
The flavors and also the texture. It just is really nice.
I was going to say the texture. I enjoy that. The contrast between the nice soft and then the little crisp on the outside. And the mashed potatoes is definitely a new thing when you mix that in with
I've
stuffing.
never heard of that before.
Right?
Neither have I. And it's delicious.
Yeah, and you try and make it so that you can't really taste either one of the ingredients.
Yes.
You really have to taste the whole.
Yes.
I could eat that whole thing.
That's absolutely fact right there. As we see some more footage from your kitchen, if I just presented this to the three of you, would you have guessed that there are actual mashed potatoes in the stuffing? You can't even tell.
No, because it is the blend. You have it just right. But you haven't made
So
it
good.
since college. I see why.
I have.
It's
I have.
perfect.
So if you go online, you can find the segment where we actually went into Kelly's home, and you'll. I don't know if you saw that at 5:45. Maybe you were driving here from Maywood
was
Park.
driving, yeah.
I couldn't put everything in there. I mean, we had to keep that down to about 2.5 minutes, but there was parts of the recipe that I could not fit in. But the entire recipe is spelled out. You can find it on my KGW TV Facebook page and my Instagram account. Before we toss it over to Chris McGinnis, can I ask you real quickly? Maywood Park,
Yes.
a part of Multnomah County that I was not familiar with. Can you just tell our viewers in brief what's up with Maywood Park?
Yeah, so it's a city within the city of Portland. They seceded from Portland in 1967 as an attempt to prevent 205 from cutting the city in half as it was being built. They were marginally successful. It only cut off part of it. But when you drive through 205, you can see the walls are up really high when you get to that area. So most people don't even realize it's there.
Oh,
Yeah.
the more you know.
She is Maywood Park's own viewer Kelly.
Little rebel.
She brought her stuffing. Now, Chris,
That is good.
sadly for you, you have to leave the table.
Well, and
you have to bring us the weather.
I was going to do my best Rod Hill and try to do the weather, but only Rod Hill can do that.